The human recruit. Alexander Chen stared through the viewport as the transport ship approached the massive structure floating in space. The Galactic Defense Academy, GDA for short, gleamed like a metal star against the backdrop of swirling nebula gases. The sight was breathtaking, but Alex felt only the weight of resentment in his stomach. Final approach to GDA docking bay, announced the ship's AI in that irritatingly calm voice. All exchange program participants, please prepare for disembarkation. Alex adjusted his standard-issue Earth Expeditionary Force uniform and sighed. He hadn't volunteered for this prestigious opportunity, as his commanding officer had called it. After Earth's somewhat rocky entry into the Galactic Alliance 3 years ago, the brass was eager to prove humans could integrate with the wider galactic community. So they'd picked Alex, not because he was the best soldier, he wasn't, or the smartest, definitely not, but because his psychological profile showed exceptional adaptability under stress with minimal complaint. Translation: he wouldn't embarrass Earth by having a meltdown when surrounded by aliens with tentacles. "You look like someone stole your dessert ration," said a voice beside him. It belonged to Dr. Eliza Wright, the diplomatic attaché assigned to make sure he didn't cause an interstellar incident. "This is a career-making assignment, you know. I was halfway through my wilderness survival instructor certification," Alex muttered. "Now I have to start all over when I get back." "If you succeed here, you might skip straight to senior instructor," she countered. "First human to complete the GDA exchange program. They'll be creating medals just for you." Alex just grunted. The ship shuddered slightly as docking clamps engage. "Remember," Dr. Wright whispered as they rose, "you're representing all of humanity. Try to look impressed." The docking bay was a cathedral of technology. Ships of various designs were arranged in perfect formation, each one representing a different member species of the Alliance. Maintenance drones buzzed through the air, and uniformed aliens of at least a dozen species moved with purpose in all directions. Waiting for them, at the bottom of the ramp was a tall, willowy figure with iridescent blue skin. 4 arms were folded in what Alex assumed was the universal posture of impatient authority. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy," the alien said in slightly accented standard. "I am Commandant Tazril, Overseer of Exchange Programs. You must be the human." Alex straightened. "Staff Sergeant Alexander Chen, Earth Expeditionary Force, reporting as ordered, sir." Mom. Commandant." "Sir is acceptable," Tazril said with what might have been amusement. "Your species' binary gender constructs are noted in your file." 2 of his 4 arms extended in a formal greeting gesture. "Dr. Wright, your quarters are prepared in the diplomatic wing. Staff Sergeant Chen will be housed with the other cadets." "Other cadets?" Alex asked. "I thought this was an instructor exchange program." Tazril's large, faceted eyes blinked slowly. That was the original arrangement. However, after reviewing Earth's military capabilities, the Academy Board determined that a more fundamental approach was appropriate. In other words, they'd demoted him. Alex felt his jaw tighten, but kept his expression neutral. Dr. Wright shot him a warning glance. "Of course, Commandant," Alex said. "Happy to start at the beginning." "Excellent. You will be joining Training Cohort 12, currently in their 2nd cycle of combat fundamentals." Tazril gestured to a severe-looking alien with a beak-like mouth and chitinous plating. "Instructor Vexkar will escort you to your quarters and provide orientation." With a final diplomatic smile from Dr. Wright, Alex found himself following the stiff-backed Vexkar through a maze of corridors. "Your personal effects will be delivered to your quarters," Vexkar said without looking back. "You will be issued standard training equipment suitable for your physiology. Your first assessment begins in 2 standard hours." "Assessment? Already?" "We must establish your baseline capabilities to properly integrate you into the cohort's training progression." Vexkar stopped at a door and pressed his 3-fingered hand against a scanner. The door slid open to reveal a small utilitarian room with 2 sleeping platforms. One was occupied by a large reptilian creature who looked up from a glowing tablet with surprise. Cadet Drexul, this is Cadet Chen from Earth. He will be your new bunkmate. The reptilian creature, Drexul, blinked vertical eyelids and gave what Alex hoped was a smile, not a hunger response. A human. Drexul's voice was surprisingly melodic for something with that many teeth. I've only seen recordings. You're smaller than I expected. I get that a lot, Alex said, dropping his carry bag on the unoccupied platform. Vex's car made a clicking sound. Report to Assessment Chamber 7 in 2 hours. Drexul, ensure he doesn't get lost. With that, the instructor turned and left. Friendly bunch, Alex muttered. Drexul made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. Vex's car treats everyone like that. From a species that reproduces by budding, no concept of nurturing. Alex found himself smiling despite his mood. Alexander Chen. Call me Alex. Just Drex is fine. So you're the human everyone's been talking about. Drex looked him up and down with obvious curiosity. Is it true humans can regenerate limbs? What? No, that's not. And you can digest almost any organic matter without specialized enzymes. Well, we have pretty adaptable digestive systems, but... And you sleep lying down, completely unconscious, every single day. Alex paused. Yes? How do you sleep? Semi-conscious hibernation cycles, once every 15 rotations, Drex said. 1/3 of brain activity maintains. That sounds inconvenient. Drex shrugged massive shoulders. Your method sounds terrifyingly vulnerable, yet your species survived on a Class 9 death world. Fascinating. Alex was about to ask what made Earth a death world when an alarm chimed from somewhere in the room. That's the 90-minute warning, Drex said, standing to his impressive height of nearly 7 feet. We should head to the training wing. Vex's car hates lateness more than he hates everything else. The training wing made Earth's most advanced military facilities look like children's playgrounds. As Drex led him through a series of increasingly impressive chambers, Alex couldn't help but gawk at training simulations featuring holographic enemies, gravity manipulation, and what appeared to be some form of controlled energy weapons. Assessment Chamber 7 was smaller than the others, but no less impressive. A dozen aliens of various species were already gathered, wearing form-fitting training uniforms color-coded by what Alex assumed was either species or rank. Instructor Vexcar stood at a control console, inputting commands with swift, precise movements. Ah, the human arrives, Vexcar announced, drawing all eyes to Alex. Now we can begin the baseline assessment. A tall, mantis-like alien with blade-sharp appendages chittered something to a bulbous creature beside it. They both made sounds that translated clearly as laughter. Don't mind Kraz Toll, Drex whispered. He's from a warrior caste. Thinks everyone else is inferior. Vexcar tapped something on his console, and a compartment in the wall slid open. Cadet Chen, please select the appropriate gear for basic physical assessment. Inside the compartment was an array of what looked like protective padding, gloves, and boots, all designed for human anatomy. Alex grabbed what appeared to be standard workout gear and quickly changed, trying to ignore the stares of the alien cadets. The assessment will begin with basic endurance, Vexcar announced. 3 phases: cardiovascular capacity, strength capacity, and reaction timing. These will establish your placement within the cohort. Alex nodded, rolling his shoulders. This wouldn't be so bad. Basic PT was something he could handle, even if the aliens expected him to fail. Engage cardiovascular assessment. Level 3, Vexcar commanded. The floor beneath Alex shifted, becoming what appeared to be an advanced treadmill. A holographic display appeared in front of him, showing vital signs and metrics he didn't recognize. Begin when ready. The system will increase intensity until you signal fatigue. Alex started jogging at a comfortable pace. The machine adjusted beneath him, and he settled into a rhythm. Around him, The alien cadets watched with varying degrees of interest or contempt. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The machine steadily increased the difficulty, but Alex was still comfortable. He'd run 10 miles with a full pack as regular training on Earth. At the 15-minute mark, he noticed Vexcar and several cadets exchanging confused looks. The instructor touched his console, and the difficulty jumped significantly. Alex compensated by breathing more deeply but maintained his pace. After 30 minutes, Vexcar abruptly shut down the machine. "That is sufficient," he said, sounding perplexed. "Your cardiovascular endurance exceeds our baseline parameters. Should I have stopped earlier?" Alex asked, barely winded. "Most species reach fatigue limit at level 5. You were approaching level 8. Vexcar made a notation. Proceed to strength assessment. The strength test involved lifting progressively heavier weights using a gravity manipulation device. Again, Alex performed well beyond what appeared to be their expectations. Not because he was exceptionally strong by human standards, he wasn't, but because whatever they considered challenging seemed perfectly manageable to him. The reaction timing test was last. Alex stood in the center of the chamber as holographic targets appeared and disappeared at random intervals. He was instructed to touch each target as quickly as possible. The test started slowly but rapidly increased in speed. Alex found himself spinning, reaching, and lunging to hit targets that appeared for only fractions of a second. He missed several, particularly when they appeared directly behind him, but hit far more than he missed. When the test ended, there was a strange silence in the room. Vexcar was staring at his console with what Alex interpreted as disbelief. "Is something wrong?" Alex asked. "Your performance," Vexcar said slowly, "is unexpected." Krastel stepped forward, his blade arms clicking irritably. "The human must have received enhancement treatments not disclosed in his file," he accused. "No natural species can perform at these levels across all parameters." Alex frowned. "Enhancement treatments? I'm completely standard issue, I assure you. Then explain how a soft-bodied species from an isolated system can outperform specialized evolutionary adaptations," Krastel demanded. "I don't know what to tell you," Alex said with a shrug. "This was just a basic fitness test, right? Nothing special." That comment seemed to cause even more consternation among the aliens. Drex approached, looking at Alex with new eyes. "Alex," he said quietly, "what you just did would qualify as elite performance among most known species. The combination of endurance, strength-to-weight ratio, and reaction time is unusual." "But I'm not even that fit by human standards," Alex protested. "I mean, I stay in shape, but there are plenty of people back home who could run circles around me." This statement caused an even greater stir among the cadets. Vexcar raised all 4 of his upper limbs for silence. "Cadet Chen, report to Medical Bay 3 for complete physiological scanning. The rest of you, proceed to tactical simulations as scheduled." As Alex left with a medical escort, he heard the whispers start. Something about death world physiology and combat-adapted nervous system. All he'd done was run on a treadmill and hit some targets. If this was what passed for challenging in the Galactic Defense Academy, maybe this assignment wouldn't be so bad after all. In the corridor, he passed Commandant Tazril deep in conversation with another official. They fell silent as he walked by, but Alex caught a fragment of their discussion. "Need to recalibrate our entire approach if this is standard human capability." Alex kept his face neutral, but a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Maybe representing humanity wouldn't be such a burden after all. Physical impossibilities. News of Alex's performance spread through the academy faster than a quantum transmission. By the time he returned from the medical bay, where puzzled alien doctors had scanned him repeatedly, muttering about impossible biological redundancies, cadets were already giving him a wide berth in the corridors. "They're calling you the anomaly," Drex informed him as they entered the mess hall that evening. "Krastel is telling everyone you must be genetically enhanced. The mess hall fell noticeably quieter as they entered. Dozens of alien eyes, stalks, and sensory organs tracked their movement. "Great," Alex muttered. "Just what I needed." "It's not all bad," Drex said, guiding him to the food dispensers. "Some are impressed. Frightened, but impressed." "Frightened of me?" Alex laughed. "I'm probably the least intimidating human soldier they could have sent." Drex made a rumbling sound deep in his throat. "You don't understand. You just casually exceeded the physical capabilities of most specialized evolution paths. Species like mine evolve for strength." He flexed one massive, scaled arm. "The X-Grill." He nodded toward a group of mantis-like aliens, including Kraz-Tull, evolved for speed and precision. "The Valerians." He indicated a group of floating, jellyfish-like beings, evolved for environmental adaptability. "And humans?" Alex asked, accepting a tray of what he hoped was compatible food from the dispenser. "That's just it," Drex said, lowering his voice. "According to what they're saying in the medical department, humans appear to have evolved for everything. Not specialized, but universally competent across all survival metrics. It doesn't make evolutionary sense." Alex frowned, considering this as they found an empty table. He knew Earth was considered dangerous by galactic standards: high gravity, extreme weather variations, diverse biomes, and an impressive array of predators and diseases. But he'd never thought of humans as particularly special because of it. "Look, I'm just an average guy," he said, poking at something purple on his tray. "Nothing special. An average human," Drex corrected. "That's what scares them." Before Alex could respond, the mess hall doors hissed open and Instructor Vexkar entered, accompanied by another alien with similar features, but more elaborate insignia. They scanned the room, spotted Alex, and headed directly for his table. "Cadet Chen," Vexkar said. "This is Senior Instructor Zexnar, Head of Combat Training." Alex stood and offered a respectful nod. "Sir." Zexnar studied him with unblinking eyes. "Your baseline results are intriguing, Cadet. The medical department has cleared you for full training rotation, beginning tomorrow at first bell. You will join Advanced Combat Cohort 5. "Advanced?" Alex asked, surprised. "I thought I was supposed to start with the basics." "Your physical capabilities exceed basic training parameters," Zexnar stated matter-of-factly. "It would be inefficient to place you there." Vexkar made a clicking sound. "We have adjusted the training regimen to account for your species' particular attributes." The way he said it made Alex uneasy. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means," Zexnar said, "we are curious to see what a human is truly capable of. Rest well, Cadet." With that, both instructors turned and left. Drex let out a low whistle-like sound. "ACC-5. That's where they put the third cycle combat specialists. Nobody gets placed there directly." "Lucky me," Alex said dryly. "Any idea what I should expect?" "Only that you'll be facing the Academy's best," came a harsh, clicking voice from behind. Kraz-Tull stood there, flanked by two other X-Grill, including me. Alex sighed. "Look, I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just here because I was ordered to be." "Your mere presence is trouble, human," Kraz-Tull said, mandibles twitching. "Your kind think you can join the Galactic Alliance and immediately take positions of influence. Some of us trained for decades to reach ACC-5. "I didn't ask for this placement," Alex said, keeping his voice level. "Take it up with the instructors if you have a problem." Kraz-Tull leaned closer. "I will be watching you, human. When you fail, and you will fail, everyone will see that your kind are not as special as you think." With that, he stalked away, blade arms clicking ominously. "Well, you've made a friend," Drex said. Alex shook his head. "This is exactly what I was afraid would happen. Politics." "No," Drex corrected. "This isn't politics. This is fear." The training chamber for Advanced Combat Cohort 5 was twice the size of the assessment room, with variable gravity zones, holographic combat simulators, and what appeared to be actual weapons racks along one wall. When Alex arrived the next morning, 15 alien cadets were already warming up, each in their own species-appropriate way. Krastul and 3 other Skrill were moving through blindingly fast forms with their natural blade arms. A trio of massive rhinoceros-like aliens were butting heads with enough force to make the floor vibrate. A group of serpentine cadets were coiled around floating obstacles, constricting them until the material creaked. And all of them stopped to stare when Alex walked in. Senior Instructor Zexnar stood on a raised platform, observing. "Ah, Cadet Chen. Prompt arrival. Good. Today's session focuses on adaptive combat against multiple opponent types." Alex nodded, trying to look more confident than he felt. He was wearing the Academy-issued training gear, which fit surprisingly well but offered minimal protection compared to Earth military standards. "The objective is simple," Zexnar continued. "You will be placed in the central combat zone with 3 randomly selected opponents. If you neutralize all opponents or survive for 5 minutes, you succeed. If you are neutralized, you fail." "Neutralize?" Alex asked. "As in, subdue, incapacitate, or force to yield," Zexnar clarified. "While fatalities are rare, injuries are common. Medical drones are standing by." That was less than reassuring. "What are the weapons parameters?" one of the Rhino aliens asked. "Blunt impact only for today's session," Zexnar replied. "No blades, energy weapons, or targeted systemic attacks. Natural appendages may be used within safety limitations." Several of the aliens looked disappointed. The Skrill, including Krastul, clicked their mandibles in obvious frustration. "First team," Zexnar announced. "Cadet Chen, Cadet Morgrath, Cadet Slith, and Cadet Plex 4. Central Zone. Now." Alex moved to the indicated area, a circular platform about 10 meters in diameter. Joining him were one of the Rhino aliens, Morgrath, apparently, a serpentine alien that moved with unsettling fluidity, Slith, and a stocky, 6-limbed creature with a tough, bark-like hide, Plex 4. "Standard rules," Zexnar called. "Begin on the tone." A low hum filled the chamber, and a transparent barrier rose around the combat zone. Alex took a defensive stance, unsure who would attack first. He didn't have to wait long. The tone sounded, and Morgrath immediately charged, head lowered like a battering ram. Alex sidestepped at the last moment, using the Rhino alien's momentum against him. Morgrath couldn't stop in time and slammed into the barrier, momentarily stunned. But Alex had no time to capitalize. Slith struck from behind, wrapping sinuous coils around his legs. Alex dropped and rolled, a basic wrestling move that confused the serpentine alien enough to loosen its grip. He broke free and scrambled back to his feet. Plex 4 approached cautiously, all 6 limbs raised in what appeared to be a grappling stance. Alex feinted left, then ducked right, throwing a quick jab to test the alien's reflexes. Plex 4 was fast, blocking the strike with 2 limbs while attempting to grab with the others. For the next minute, Alex was purely defensive, dodging, weaving, using basic evasion tactics he learned in hand-to-hand combat training on Earth. Nothing fancy, just practical moves to stay out of reach. What he lacked in specialized combat abilities, he made up for in general awareness. Earth military training emphasized situational awareness above all else, and Alex constantly tracked all 3 opponents, using their size and momentum against them. When Morgrath charged again, Alex waited until the last possible moment, then dropped flat. The Rhino alien couldn't stop and crashed directly into Plex 4, sending them both tumbling. Alex rolled away, only to find Slith lunging for his throat. Acting on instinct, Alex grabbed the serpentine alien behind the head, or what he hoped was the head, and used its own momentum to slam it against the barrier. Slith went limp, clearly dazed. "One opponent neutralized," Zexnar announced dispassionately. The remaining two aliens approached more cautiously now. Plex Vor circled to Alex's left, while Morgrath pawed the ground to his right. They were coordinating, trying to flank him. Alex took a deep breath and centered himself. He'd been in worse situations during training exercises on Earth. This was just hand-to-hand with unusual opponents. The principles remained the same. Use their force against them, conserve energy, and take advantage of openings. When they attacked simultaneously, Alex dropped into a combat role that carried him underneath Plex Vor's reach. He came up behind the alien and delivered a sharp strike to what he hoped was a vulnerable area at the junction of limb and torso. Plex Vor made a hooting sound and stumbled. Morgrath was already pivoting for another charge. This time, instead of dodging, Alex timed his move precisely. As the rhino alien thundered toward him, Alex stepped into the charge, grabbed one of the alien's massive horns, and used his own momentum to redirect the charge. The maneuver used principles of Aikido, a redirection of force rather than opposition. The result was spectacular. Morgrath, unable to stop or change direction, was guided in a tight circle that sent him crashing directly into the barrier with even greater force than before. The alien collapsed, clearly stunned. Two opponents neutralized, Zexnar announced, a new note in his voice that might have been surprise. Plex Vor, now more cautious, circled Alex warily. Alex noticed the alien favoring the side he'd struck earlier. When Plex Vor finally attacked, it was with 4 limbs while keeping 2 in reserve for defense. Alex blocked 2 strikes, took a hit from a 3rd limb that sent him stumbling, but recovered quickly. Then he did something that apparently shocked everyone in the room. He charged directly at Plex Vor. The alien, expecting another defensive maneuver, was caught off guard. Alex tackled it around the midsection, got his shoulder underneath, and executed a textbook judo throw that sent Plex Vor crashing to the floor with enough force to knock the wind out of any Earth creature. The alien lay still, clearly stunned. All opponents neutralized, Zexnar announced. Time elapsed. 3 minutes, 27 seconds. The barrier dropped, and there was absolute silence in the training chamber. Then, unexpectedly, one of the rhinoceros aliens began a deep, rumbling sound that Alex realized was applause. Several others joined in. Krastul and his fellow Excrill remained pointedly silent. Zexnar stepped down from his platform and approached Alex. "Explain your combat methodology, Cadet." Alex shrugged, helping Plex Vor to its feet, or what passed for feet. "Basic defensive tactics, sir. Redirect force, maintain awareness, exploit momentum." "You used no specialized combat techniques," Zexnar observed. "Yet you defeated 3 specialized combat organisms." "I wouldn't say defeated," Alex said diplomatically. "It was a training exercise." "They were holding back." "Were they?" Zexnar's head tilted. "Tell me, Cadet Chen, would you consider this level of combat challenging?" Alex hesitated, aware of the watching eyes. "It was a good workout, sir." Zexnar made a chirping sound that might have been a laugh. "A good workout. Interesting. Next team, prepare." As Alex left the combat zone, several alien cadets approached him with what seemed like respect. Morgrath, recovered from his collision with the barrier, gave a formal nod. "Effective use of mass redistribution," the rhino alien rumbled. "Not many can redirect a Boolean charge." "Good technique," agreed another cadet with tentacle-like appendages. "Minimal energy expenditure. Practical." Krastul watched from across the chamber, mandibles twitching in what Alex was learning to recognize as anger. For the rest of the session, Alex observed the other combat teams. Each species had its specialties. The Skrill were blindingly fast with precise strikes. The serpentine aliens could constrict with crushing force. The rhino aliens were living battering rams, but all were specialized, evolved for specific types of combat. Humans, it seemed, were generalists, not the best at any one thing, but competent across the board. This lack of specialization combined with Earth's military training emphasis on adaptability, gave Alex advantages the aliens hadn't expected. When the session ended, Zexnar called Alex aside. "Your performance was enlightening," the instructor said. "Tomorrow, we will increase the challenge parameters." "Yes, sir," Alex replied, trying not to show his concern. As he turned to leave, Zexnar added, "Cadet Chen, I must know, is this truly representative of standard human combat capability?" Alex considered the question carefully. "Honestly, sir, I was an average hand-to-hand combatant in my unit. We have specialists who are far more skilled." Zexnar's multiple eyes blinked in what might have been disbelief. "I see. That is concerning." "Why concerning, sir?" "Because," Zexnar said, "if what you demonstrate is merely average for your species, then we have significantly underestimated humanity's potential role in galactic security." As Alex walked back to his quarters, Drex fell in beside him. "You've done it now," his roommate said, though he sounded more impressed than upset. "The entire academy is talking about the human who defeated 3 combat specialists using basic techniques." "It wasn't that impressive," Alex insisted. "They weren't going all out, and I got lucky with that redirect on the charging one." Drex made a rumbling sound. "You don't get it, do you? What you call basic techniques don't exist for most species. The ability to rapidly adapt combat strategy against multiple opponent types isn't common. But it's just standard training. For humans," Drex finished, "and that's what scares everyone. If what you consider basic training produces warriors who can handle our advanced combat scenarios." He left the implication hanging. Alex frowned. He hadn't considered it that way. On Earth, soldiers were trained to be adaptable because they might face any situation. Urban combat, jungle warfare, Arctic conditions, or desert operations. That kind of all-around competence was valued over specialization. But in a galaxy where evolution had pushed species toward specialized niches, a generalist species with conscious training to enhance their natural adaptability might indeed seem unusual. "I think I'm beginning to understand why they demoted me from instructor to cadet," Alex said slowly. "They don't want to learn from us. They want to study us." Drex nodded gravely. "Now you're getting it." "Well," Alex said with a grim smile, "if they want to see what humans can do, I suppose I should show them." "Just be careful," Drex warned. "Kraz Tul and his faction aren't just competitive. They're ideologically opposed to human integration into galactic security forces. They see you as a threat." "A threat? That's ridiculous. Humans just want to be part of the alliance, not take it over." Drex gave him a sidelong look. "Are you sure about that? Your military sent you here, after all." Alex started to object, then stopped. From the outside, humanity's eager participation in the exchange program might indeed look like ambition rather than cooperation, especially if humans were showing capabilities that surprised the galactic community. "Great," he muttered. "Politics, after all." "Always politics," Drex agreed. "Just remember, tomorrow, they'll be testing your limits more seriously." "Let them," Alex said with more confidence than he felt. "I've got a few more basic techniques they haven't seen yet." What he didn't say was that he was starting to worry about exactly what those tests might entail. If today's advanced combat had been relatively straightforward for him, what would they throw at him next to find his breaking point? He would find out soon enough. The War Games. The War Games. The Academy's central announcement system woke Alex at what felt like an ungodly hour. The artificial daylight cycle hadn't even begun, leaving the room in a dim blue glow that reminded him of pre-dawn exercises back on Earth. "Attention all advanced combat cadets," came the disembodied voice of Senior Instructor Zexnar. "Report to Deployment Bay 3 in 30 minutes, equipped for extended field operations. Annual War Games begin today." Drex, already up and moving with surprising grace for his size, gave a low whistle. "War Games? Already? They're usually held at the end of the training cycle." Alex sat up, rubbing sleep from his eyes. What exactly are the war games? Combat simulation on Nexus Moon, Drex explained, pulling equipment from his storage compartment. Full-scale tactical exercise with multiple objectives. Teams compete for territory and resource points. He paused, looking at Alex. They must have rescheduled because of you. Great, Alex muttered. More special attention. When they arrived at deployment,